Hello and welcome to Hard West 2. I'm Shadow Coast and welcome to the channel. In this video, we're going to review Flynn's traits and ability, talk a little bit about building our hand. Off the bat, we do have access to Shadow Swap. That is her main ability. Cost 1 AP, base damage 1. Flynn swaps places with a character in her line of sight. She and the swap character each lose 1 HP, anyone self, so you can swap your allies or enemies to help with positioning. This is a very important and powerful move. I do recommend you use it to your advantage to either position your own team to be able to finish off enemies and or swap out enemies to misposition them so then the rest of your game can take them out. Now, let's talk about traits. The first two traits we're going to talk about really link to the ability to build reputation with Flynn. So once we reach ally, which is the next level here, so that does require 4 um, reputation or more, we gain the ability Pocket Full of Chips. If Flynn's luck is 0, she gains 25 luck. This is kind of nice, especially the fact that we can increase our hit chance using that. Now, once we go to ally, which or friend, excuse me, which is the last bucket here to keep in mind. Flynn, when Flynn is in Bravo, she has +1 bullseye damage multiplier, so we can definitely maximize our damage output uh, for bullseye, which is nice. Talked about shadow swap. I believe all characters have horseback riding. So then when we have at least a pair, Flynn has at least 100 luck points. She gains plus 10% bullseye chance, which is really nice. When we have at least 2 pairs, that means that we have to have anything more than 2 pairs. So we can have two pairs to unlock this. So I'll show you what that means. If we have a pair, we have stroke of luck, but we don't have shadow swap 2 because we need something else. So just adding another card isn't good enough. We're going to need something else. So when we have two pair in this example, we then unlock shadow swap because we have at least 2 pair or something more than 2 pair. Level 2 is nice insofar that this now has no cooldown, so we can just keep swapping indefinitely. When we have at least 3 of a kind, Flynn is a shotgun user, although I tend to have her pistol more often than not. Character inflicts +1 damage when using shotguns. Light-footed, at least a straight, the character is resistant to becoming crippled. This is really nice because when you're crippled, you cannot move, which is important. Shadow Swap 3, at least a flush. This we have same thing, however, if we're swapping an enemy, they do get or obtain bleeding, and in bleeding the character loses 2 HP for every action they perform. So this is really nice, where if we kind of swap an enemy and they're running or moving, they're going to suffer damage for each action point they perform, movement or attack. For bleeding, if we have at least a full house, character gains +5 bullseye chance when shooting from shotgun. So I'm going to finish the full house, and you can see here, because it's at least, we gain all of these, including Brawler, which is really nice. So character gains +5 bullseye chance when shooting from shotgun. Then for of a kind, we get Rifleman, +1 damage when using rifles. I won't die here. Straight flush at the start of the turn. If one of the posse members has fallen, Flynn gains duelist status. Um, that's nice, but I'm not sure I'm gonna put my straight flush on Flynn because I'm hoping that I don't have people that are fallen. Stay low key. At the start of her turn, Flynn goes head down and stops burning. Um, Maybe late game this will be important, but I'm not seeing as much utility unless we're going to be constantly on fire. And then finally, Devil's Luck. The character gains double luck from missing shots or being shot at. This is extremely nice. And the reason this is nice is a bunch of different reasons. But insofar that we're building a lot of luck, which allows us to then increase our ability to hit so we can hit 100% to make sure we have solid damage output where and when we need it. Now, when it comes to building her hand, there are a couple traits I recommend. The first trait I recommend is increasing luck, and that is because you can see from these she is really good at generating a lot of luck. So we want to make sure that we increase how much luck she can have so we can generate it, then use it, generate it, then use it, and not just be capping out because that's inefficient. The next trait, it is kind of between bullseye and speed. I personally, when I'm building the deck, prefer speed just so she can get into position. But once you get really over 20 speed, I do think I would argue that bullseye is probably a little more important. And then, as always, we want her to have a decent amount of health so she can keep swapping. To that point, we're going to talk about trinkets and weapons. So, given how Flynn is designed, I do recommend keeping a shotgun on her along with a handgun or pistol, depending on what you're calling it, so she can actually deal damage with just 2 AP, which is important. When it comes to trinkets, there are several good trinkets, but early game I find that I really like Talisman of the Witch. You can obtain this from an old gnarled tree that you encounter, I believe, um, semi-early game, and effectively this will give you +1 hit point per kill. So the reason I like this on Flynn, at least early game, is that she's using, personally I use Shadow Swap almost on cooldown, so this is a nice easy way to help get her kills to replenish that. I am playing, or I do prefer to play in Nightmare or Hard mode, so effectively we're not going to replenish hit points unless we're eating or actively healing. So this is a really nice attribute to have. You can see here, um, 12 out of 19. The reason it's 12 out of 19, um, the vast majority of this is actually just me swapping. So that's trinkets. Weapons, I do recommend shotgun and then a pistol or handgun to make sure she's effective. So that is Flynn in a nutshell. If you found this video helpful, please consider dropping a thumbs up. And if you have any interest in supporting the channel, please consider subscribing. Thanks so much for watching and hope to see you in future videos.